Welcome to ePassal lecture series on computer science. We are discussing the paper Cryptography and Network Security, and this module we are going to discuss about firewalls. Objectives are to learn about the purpose of firewall, discuss about the components of a basic firewall, and also we are going to discuss about the firewall architecture and various types of firewalls in the network security. What is a firewall? So far we have discussed about various level of securities at each and every layer of our internet layered model, but the firewall is exactly to protect our network from the external attack. So, generally the firewall can be either a software or a hardware, or it can be both, which is mainly to prevent unauthorized access. So, a firewall is a security policy where enforcing point that regulates access between computer network. So, it is filters and inherently insecure services. For example, if I want to block an FTP connection between the server and the client, I can ensure that checking process in the case of our firewall, or I want to protect some of the telnet services I can do. So, I can do some kind of TCP control with the help of the firewall. So, firewall have been a first line of defense in the network security over 25 years. So, actually the role of firewall, what the firewall protect from the external attacker or the intruders are the data, the resource and reputation. So, how a firewall can protect the data, where even though we have discussed that in the case of our security, we have come out with some kind of cryptographic techniques, but this case is entirely different as we compare with our cryptographic technique. Here a proprietary corporate information, financial information, sensitive employee information or customer data, some medical related records also going to be considered as the data which can be protected with the help of our firewall. Even some of the resources like our computing resources, like our DOS attack, one of the example where we can exploiting the computer resources based on their vulnerabilities, which can be protected with the help of our firewall. And reputation, loss of confidence in an organization, an intruder uses an organization network to attack other sites, can be prevented with the help of the firewall. So, overall we can able to protect the data, a resource and reputation with the help of the firewall. So, how they are going to, who are kind of an attacker going to attack our internet? We have some internal user, hackers, corporate espionage, terrorists, common thieves who can able to penetrate into our internet via the network gateway. They can enter into our internal network. Basic components of firewalls are policies, advanced authentication, packet inspection, application gateway. So, what are policies? So, I will mentioning about the policies are nothing but a statement. Suppose I want to filter unwanted content where my network users are accessing, then I can able to provide kind of a policy to filter the content, and also I can provide an advanced authentication. Instead of accessing my internet or my network using a local authentication, I can have some kind of a centralized authentication like Radius or Taka CS server. With the help of this, I can able to provide an advanced authentication as one of the component of a firewall. Packet inspection, I will be monitoring, the firewall will be monitoring each and every packet, and also is there any impersonated packet or spoofed packet, they can able to filter that kind of packet or deny the access to the particular kind of packet. And application gateway, where is a component which will be provided at the gateway of internet services, where I can define who have given what kind of access with the help of an application gateway located at the perimeter of a network. So, generally we already very well about these kind of threats: denial of service attack, intrusion threats, attacks on services, exploits, information threats, viral threats and defacement. So, all these are related to internet. So, where we need to provide some kind of attention in order to protect them from either an external user or internal user. The user can be an external user or internal user who can try to exploit these kind of threats, vulnerabilities with the help of these threats. So, we very well know about internets are not secure, they are insecure, and each and every services have their specific kind of vulnerabilities or security risks. As we know about email and SMTP, where we instead of we have kind of an protocol with respect to our TCP, IP, SMTP and POP3 or IMAP, they are very insecure. That is why we have some PGP or SMIME protocol to ensure the security services, even though the risk involved like email bombing, that is anonymous harassment, large amount of email to a single user address, and also spamming, that means message sent to numerously different user from a host, virus download mechanism where a virus code can be attached along with your email like code red and NIMDA worm, and not always traceable. So, these are kind of threats which created or which happens due to the vulnerabilities of your SMTP or POP3 IMAP services of your internet. Similarly, the case with respect to our FTP, we have risk include, we know very well FTP is one of the file transfer protocol. We have SFTP to protect the secure file transfer. Even though we can have some kind of risk involved apart from your cryptographic mechanism, there we have an encrypted authentication and data transfer. That means your username and password can be stuffed by using some packet capturing tool, and also we have some unencrypted data, though if I am not supporting any security services, if I am using that FTP where the data can be, a plain text can be viewed, even I do not need to have any username and password to access the content. And part of default installation, anonymous FTP is possible if you are having a very lack in the knowledge of configuring your FTP. There is always default anonymous FTP is possible where they can able to gain access, and privileges escalation, that means one privileges can be override by the other privilege, which is also possible with the help of your FTP. And in the case of your HTTP, where we know all the web related activities are doing with the HTTP as an application layer protocol, here we have a TCP bar IP port based port 80. Some of the risk can be included with respect to your HTTP. That means here we can have a browser can be used to run a dangerous commands, and protocol can be between the user agent and other protocol, the web services like your SMTP, NNTP and FTP, that is your mail service, news, network news and FTP, all these are going to be happening and difficult to secure. And remote execution of commands and execution from the server side, and also some of the non-secure add-on application like your Java and cookies, and we have SOAP. So, these can create a vulnerability in the internet service. So, here some may think about, we have some of the cryptographic support. For example, I have some kind of confidentiality, I may ensure the integrity of the message, I may have some kind of authentication, all these can be there, but there are certain vulnerabilities or risk which even with the help of your cryptography we cannot able to support. As the case, if you consider an HTTPS, even though it is secured with the help of your SSL, still we can able to understand there is a kind of a risk. We can able to see that your browser can be used to run danger code. How can I know whether with the help of HTTPS? I think they may block this kind of thing, but definitely not. HTTP only provide the confidentiality integrity, but some kind of command which is also going to be sent by the attacker along with my web page, definitely it is going to create a security issue. Remote code execution command and execution service guide and becomes a tunnel for any data which I want to retrieve sensitive information from the browser, and you can also use separate firewall and security control. So, DNS, again we can able to see some of the risk related to DNS. We have DNS caching, poisoning, DNS cache poisoning, DNS spoofing. Here we can poison the cache information and redirecting valid connection to wrong server, and spoofing where they can do a bad data to redirect valid connection to a wrong server. So, absolutely needed for network services. So, how I am going to provide a security even though I have some kind of an algorithm like symmetric cryptography and asymmetric cryptography and also some kind of hashing technique, but still it is not possible to provide protection against the cache poisoning or spoofing kind of an attack. So, these kind of an attack need a special kind of a software or hardware where we come out with an component called a firewall. So, the firewall will provide some kind of rules or policy where I can able to prevent or deny such a kind of activities are happening in my network. So, we have some kind of activity as we mentioned, as for example, I am saying a browser can be used to run a dangerous code. I can able to prevent that kind of content entering into my network. Even remote code execution, I can block the connection, such a way I can do, instead of I am going to see the encrypted content or whatever it may be. And also some kind of cookies are there, I can prevent them, or denial of service attack, I can prevent them, I can protect them, but it is not with the help of our cryptography. So, here we can able to understand the basic firewall components. One, we have a software, hardware and purpose build application based. So, firewall software types, we have problems to watch for. Administrative limitation, that means we can have an access, monitoring and logging where you can able to access to the content to a limited level of privileges, and also monitoring the content and logging which is there when there is a problem happens in the case of our. And management requirement is an additional control point and also additional non-secure application required. And what is the usage? For example, I have an administrative limitation where I can able to access, provide an access control, monitoring the packet and logging all the activities are happening inside or outside my network, and also some kind of managing, I can provide some additional control point and also some additional non-application, non-secure application required. The limitation is capacity, availability and the hardware. So, support the software in the implementation of your firewall. So, the filtering, packet filtering is the first generation firewall. So, how this going to be creating a packet filtering is, Basically, it is done with the help of an access control list, ACL, which is the first generation of our firewall. It is mainly used in the routers before having a separate device for a firewall as a hardware component. Initially, the firewall services are utilized with a existing network device called router, where they can able to write an ACL statement, that is your access control statement, where they can prevent an unauthorized access to the network. First generation firewall technology, fast but not very flexible. That means it do either prevent or deny to a specific IP. It is basically an IP based or port based or a service based. So, there is no flexibility in implementing of that particular firewall. So, that can be used as the first line of defense. It can be used nowadays also. They are using most of the routers. If there is no firewall in their network, they use router as their one of the component with the firewall. Then application level firewall, where we have web proxy servers and application proxy server. So, none that are strictly proxy based, it is a gateway server, and it is a second generation firewall technology. It makes a connection on behalf of the client, not flexible as similar to that of your first generation firewall. Here they use some kind of web proxy servers. So, instead of directly a user accessing their web server, there will be a proxy server which will be handling the request. And also I have an application proxy server. So, whenever attacker try to attack my server, the proxy will be the victim, not our server. So, but the thing here is not going to be have such a flexibility as similar to that of your first generation firewall. So, we come out with an hybrid firewall, where the performance, it performs a packet filtering function, performs the application both the first generation, second generation, and it is come out with a third generation firewall technology, where some of the products are available in the market, like Raptor firewall by Semantic, Firewall 1 by Checkpoint, and Sidewinder firewall by Secure Computing, and Lucient Brick by Lucient. So, these are some of the third generation firewall which can capable of performing packet filtering as your ACL list, and also some application proxy functioning like your web proxy or application proxy, where it is combining both the operation. It can able to provide some kind of flexibility as a third generation. The new technology right now, we have stateful inspection. So, here we have a patent technology, your inspect engine, which will be looking at each and every packet which is entering into your network as the stateful inspection with the help of your inspect engine. Here we have an application level proxy. The product which is using the stateful inspection is Checkpoint NGX as one of the stateful inspection firewall. And multi-layer inspection, where new technology incorporating that, the packet filtering, stateful inspection, as well as the application proxies. All these things are going to be there in the case of your multi-layer inspection. So, firewall hardware types, three basic hardware options are there. One is application based. So, here we can able to purpose built, simple, highly integrated. Then we have a third party servers, is a general use system, additional support channel, and a great flexibility. Apart from that, we have a hybrid servers. So, these three basic options we can adopt with the hardware firewall, whether I can go for an application based or third party servers, or I can go for a hybrid servers. The purpose of hybrid is built for limited product line and closely integrated with the software offering, and also have many separate support channel and most highly integrated component. So, in the case of your architecture, we have a screening router, simple firewall, multi-legged firewall, firewall sandwich and layered security architecture. So, these are some of the network firewall which are commonly used to protect the unauthorized or prevent against the intruders. So, we will see one by one. Screening router is access list provide the security. Routers are not application aware, so only inspects the network level information like your layer 3 of your OSI model. Only they are able to see as what we seen in the case of your first generation firewall. Does not provide any great deal of security, very fast, not commonly used alone for security. So, here this is a overall view of your screening router. The screening router where you can able to see here, this is our internal trusted network where I have a server, mainframe, database, a desktop. In that I will have one router which is connecting between my internet or untrusted network. So, this screening router, the router or blocks packet as determined by security policy. So, this is our simple screening router which is the first level or baseline of defense where I can able to prevent based on their layer 3 information like our source IP address or destination IP address. A simple firewall where it is applicable for small companies with limited security needs only utilize two interface, that is trusted and untrusted. It provides modest security and it does not offer any DMZ, demilitarized zone sandbox, and inherently allows some level of connection between the trusted and untrusted network. So, here this is the diagram which is explaining the operation of your simple firewall where you can able to see again the same structure. In that we can able to see here there is a firewall in addition to our screening router. So, we know that it's like your gateway router which is protecting against that untrusted or internet network, and we have a firewall which is between your screening router and the internal trusted network. We assume that internal network is the trusted network, and here router blocks, but here the firewall then handles the traffic additionally to maintain more security than that of your screening router. Then we have a multi-legged firewall where from small to large size business the security need is expanded, where I need to provide a stronger security. Then here we can able to see, we can able to create a sandbox for semi trusted services, and here it is flexible and more secure when compared to the previous two, simple firewall and screening firewall. So, this explains about the operation of your multi-leg firewall. This case we can able to understand, first I have an internet and also our end user devices like your servers and also desktops. We know that there is a screening router and a firewall is there. In addition to that we have a DMZ, that is demilitarized semi trusted network. So, this separates the internal user and the external user to a secure zone. As we can able to see, some applications related with your web server, SMTP server and general internal servers are going to be separated from your end user through the DMZ semi trusted network. So, here it is offering a secure sandbox to handle untrusted connection to the internet services. So, we already know what is screening router will provide baseline and also some flexibility with the firewall. Now, we have an additional zone in this multi-leg where we are separating our server from the internal and the external user. Firewall sandwich here to medium to large size business, for example, your campus is going to be have more number of users, then definitely we will go for this firewall sandwich. Here we have a higher cost for the implementation of this kind of setup in our network, and it is more serious need of security. So, when there is a criticality in protecting the server, not like the previous two where it is not that much secure and it is maybe basic level of protection from the external attacker. Here this provides a physical separation of the network and also provides a policy segregation between inside and outside firewall. So, where I can able to overcome the administrative hole with the help of our firewall sandwich. So, here it is providing policy segregation between inside and outside of firewall. So, let us see that how it is providing this. As we know, in the multi-leg we have screening and a firewall, but demilitarized trusted zones are there, but here we have two firewall, one is for inside, another one is for outside. So, normally when you have seen the previous architecture types where we have only one firewall, but this case we are having two different firewall, one is for outbound traffic, another one is for inbound traffic. That means outside firewall and inside firewall, and one DM is that semi trusted network where it is going to be connecting with the web server like SMTP server and server. So, routers blocks the packet, and here firewall hand the traffic additional to maintain the security. Now, we have demilitarized zone. DM is that offers a secure network to handle untrusted connection to the internet service, and also the separation of security policy control between inside and outside. So, I can write a separate policy statement for the inside user, internal user, as well as for the external users. I do not want to mix up their internal and external user by having a single firewall, so that I can able to manage the internal user can be provide a less stringent statement of access, whereas in the outsiders I can able to prevent. So, that here this kind of activity separates the policy between the internal and external attacker. Then we have a layered firewall approach. It is purely for large enterprise with low risk tolerant. It separates the internal environment, and also it is providing solution for inside attacker. It reduces the computer crimes. Most attackers are internally based. So, previous cases where it is not considering any of the internal attacker, only we thought of external attacker, but I need to protect my server from the inside attacker also, and also some malicious activity, somewhat advanced kind of an approach where we need to go for layered firewall. It is also have some additional overhead for administrative traffic. So, that can be, and also in addition to that it provides IDS, intrusion detection system, to provide more effectively managing the intruder inside the network. So, here we can able to see there is one inside firewall, outside firewall, inside firewall, there are two inside firewall and internal firewall, where we can able to have a group of users, user network, general user, and mainframe network, and development network, HR network. Here I have a DM is a semi trusted network, and also our internet. So, we can understand here various layers. Okay, we can assume that layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, that way we can able to understand. Here the separation of security policy controls the network within your trusted network as well as your semi and untrusted network, so that we can able to prevent the inside attacker with the help of your layered firewall. Even we say we have come out with various architecture of firewall, security is not a, has no single right answer. use every tool based on the need. Layered security is always the best approach. We can provide strong security control coupled with audit, administrative review, and effective security plans will be providing the strong holistic defense. So, what we come out with that, outline the purpose of firewall, we understand the basic components of firewall. In addition to that, we know the architecture as well as we learned about types of firewall, which one is suitable for what kind of environment. Thank you.